to present the award for Fight of the Year is Jiu-Jitsu Federation of the Philippines Assistant Secretary General TJ Sulit.
This year, all of us joined hands to battle an invisible opponent. We fight each day knowing that our actions can mean life or death. One day, with the unrelenting spirit of the Filipino people, it is without a doubt that we will rise victorious in this war. Throughout a year of extraordinary challenges, there were select men and women who rose amongst our ranks and competed on a global stage, uplifting the spirits of our countrymen. For every submission attempt, takedown, punch, or kick, they had the hopes of an entire nation behind them. But there was one bout that captured the imagination of every Filipino. And it is with great pleasure to award the hit list fight of the year to one strawweight world champion Joshua Pacio versus Alex Silva, back in one championship, Fire and Fury. If you haven't watched it, it's definitely a modern-day classic. Congratulations.
Congratulations to Joshua Pacio and Alex Silva for winning Fight of the Year. Yan, guys, medyo kokonti yung pagpipilian for Fight of the Year, pero kahit konti, mahirap pagpilian. In the fan poll, it was a neck-and-neck battle between the fight between Joshua Pacio and Alex Silva, and the encounter between Denise Zamboanga and May Yamaguchi. If the fight between Zamboanga and Yamaguchi was for a world title or for an interim title, do you think the results of this category could have swayed in favor of their fight, or do you think that the Pacio Silva encounter had the right ingredients to be Fight of the Year? Now let's start with Sakino.
Alright, before moving on, we'd like to remind everyone na we were able to come up with these results through a very specific scoring tabulation. First of all, our panel of experts get 60%, or their votes account for 60%, while the fan vote accounts for 30%. And of course, our very, very important showrunners, their votes count for 10%. Now, going to yung ating breakdown for this category, Fight of the Year, yung Joshua Pacio, Alex Silva bout got 70% of the total score, while the Denise Zamboanga, May Yamaguchi bout got 30% of the total score. The other nominees were Mike Plania versus Joshua Greer and Mark Magsayo versus Rigoberto Hermosillo. Now, Nisi, going back to your question, I believe that had the Yamaguchi-Zamboanga fight been for a world championship, it could possibly have become the winner, because last year pa lang nakita na natin yung dominance si Joshua Pacio sa strawweight division. While I'm not taking anything away from Pacio or Alex Silva, Joshua Pacio beating Alex Silva was not something na people dismissed. It was very possible, especially with the level of performances that Joshua Pacio has been having in his last fights. Now, going back to what I've said previously nga, Denise Zamboanga was a relative unknown heading into her fight with May Yamaguchi. If the stakes were as high as a world championship and she was able to step up and perform that way, I think malaki yung chance na this would have won Fight of the Year. Not only because it displayed yung talent and yung potential ni Denise Zamboanga, but it also adds another world championship sa roster of world champions ng Philippines.
Now, let's move on to Robert Belen. Your take, brother.
I agree with Santino. Kasi if that fight with May Yamaguchi and Denise Zamboanga is for a world title, heading to that fight, most likely, aasahan natin na medyo, most of the fans tingin na mananalo si Yamaguchi. Right? Because again, Zamboanga, unknown siya, less experience. Heading to that fight, she got only 3 bouts. So with the performance she showed, So if that's for the title fight and ganun yung pinakita niyang performance, winning for the world title, definitely fight of the year. Siya yung mga nanalo doon. But again, regarding the Silva Pacio fight, as expected, lahat naman tayo. Because heading to that fight, Pacio dominating each and every bout. Actually, he was just coming up a impressive performance against Catalan. And alam naman natin kung gaano kagaling sa ground si Silva, yet Pacio dominated him from first to fifth round. That's why, again, for a performance for a world title, I think that's the factor kaya nanalo si Pacio or the Pacio Silva fight for the Fight of the Year award.
Jason.
Right, for me personally, I think the Zamboanga Yamaguchi fight should have gotten this nod. For me personally, it had more of an air of danger. As you guys have mentioned, we know what Pacio's capable of. We know what Silva's capable of. We've seen them time and time again in the cage. But with Denise Zamboanga facing off against Mei Yamaguchi, there's that element of the unknown. It's 3-0 versus a veteran. So for me, it had me on the edge of my seat just a little bit more. But in terms of performance, that's not to take anything away, especially from Joshua Pacio. We, as Robert mentioned, we all know how good Alex Silva on the ground is, yet Pacio held his own. And he didn't just hold his own. One thing I'd like to point out is that Alex Silva's attacks on the ground are very new school jiu-jitsu. This isn't your old school, control, hold, stuff like that. It's very new school. He was doing a lot of float passing. He did a half guard sweep at one point. He was transitioning into new school leg lock entry. So it just shows that Pacio is really the next evolution in Team Lakay camp. And it shows that they continue to evolve at a level that perhaps we haven't seen the full potential of yet. So while I think Pacio's performance was certainly noteworthy, I think the Yamaguchi versus Zamboanga fight had a bit more of an air of danger to it. So in my personal opinion, I would have voted for that.
Palong-palo, para nasa bakas sa mukha ha. Silipin at sulitin ang galaw at ang baraha. Ingat sa binabangga, baka masagasa. Marami nakaharang, makitid ang daan. Tahimik lang tahimik at mainit ang